Hello there. I'm going to do Friday reads, and I am really excited because this weekend I expect to do a lot more reading than I have been doing in the last couple of weeks because I've been having to do a lot more like editing and paperwork stuff, and so it hasn't been as fun. And then when it's time for me to read, I'm like, blah. But on the train is when I can get most of my reading done. And what I've been reading is Go Home, and this is an anthology with writers of the Asian diaspora, and I heard about it on the Poptimist channel, and I immediately put it on hold at my library, and finally it came through, and so I've been getting through this. I am really loving it, and it's really interesting because when I started reading it, I was like, oh, I didn't realize these lived experiences were still happening and they were still so prevalent. And it's one of those things where you're like, haven't we come a long way? And then you are watching the news and you see that we have not come a long way because people are still just throwing around these racial slurs and saying these racially insensitive things and just not being the people that Mr. Rogers would want us to be. If I'm just saying I'm watching the news and I'm watching the way we do not understand racial insensitivity and racism and insulting and offensive behavior. So this book has been really exciting to read because it really explores this notion of telling people to go home, and it also explores the concept of home in so many different ways, like finding a place called home in language and finding it in other people and finding it in food. And the essay that really touched me the most is by Faria Rosen, and I actually happened to have met her at an event a couple of weeks ago and then didn't realize that she was also in the anthology. And it is talking about her sister deciding to put on the hijab, and it's called Meet a Muslim, and her sister decides to wear the hijab about 2 years after 9/11, and she talks about being so fearful for her sister's safety and well-being, and her sister's reasoning for it was just so moving, where it was almost like wearing a second skin, and it felt as if she could move through the world and be protected. And then the irony of it is that where can women go, and what is the uniform that we should wear that will protect us or leave us feeling safe. And so it talks about it in the terms of gender safety and as well as religious safety, and it was just really, really moving, very subtle but very powerful. So I would really recommend this anthology, Go Home, and it opens with Alexander Chi, which is really, really great. I really like it. And then I actually ended up getting a bunch of books from Catapult because I did an interview with Chibundu Onuzo, and when you go to these publishing houses, these people are just so giving and generous, and I got a bunch of early advanced reader copies. So I got this All You Can Ever Know by Nicole Chung, and she's an adoptee, and she talks about being an adoptee to these white parents. And I only just started it, but it was really interesting because she's talking to a couple, her friends are interested in adopting, and they wanted to know more about her experience before they brought in a child to their home, and if she would recommend it, and just she goes through bits and pieces of her own adopted experience. And they really recommended this, and they were really excited about this one, and it's coming out in October of 2018. And then I also picked up this, which already came out, Neon and Daylight by Hermione Hobie. And I haven't started this, but I do want to dive in. And then this one is out September of 2018, and it's called Vanishing Twins, A Marriage by Leah Dietrich. I have no idea what this one is about, but when I do, I will let you know. I'm not going to pretend to know. What I also got and I started reading and I love is called Riddance, and it's by Shelley Jackson, and this one's coming out October 2018, and it is about this orphanage or this school for students that have speech problems and they stutter, And the lady that started the school, who also had a stuttering problem, realized that she could communicate, or like the ghost could communicate through her. So it's really like dark and twisty, and like her dad is so awful, and I'm just like in the very beginning, but I'm really loving it. And this researcher, this person that like finds documents, goes on this like deep dive into what this school was all about. It was like the Sybil Jones Vocational School for Ghost Speakers and Hearing Mouth Children. So these kids, they can stutter, but really ghosts are trying to communicate through them. And so I'm really enjoying this, and I'm actually reading it like in the bed, so we'll see if it gets too scary. I might have to save it just for daylight. And so yeah, that's what I'm reading this weekend. I really hope that I can finish the anthology, and then I can dive deeper into Riddance. Let me know what y'all are reading, and happy reading weekend. It's the beginning of June. I'm so excited for summer, and yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.